SEC again mulling 9-game league schedule as reported by Brandon Marcello. Many of you, including myself, want a uniform standard schedule for college football. That would mean a 9-game league schedule. The ACC needs to come into play as well. But most of us pick on the SEC because they claim to be the best. I still believe they are the best, but they only play 8 conference games and a lot of cakewalk games in between. So this is coming from the coaches' meetings in Destin. The SEC is again contemplating an expanded conference football schedule, increasing revenue. And then the SEC has already decided to run 8-game schedules for the next 2 seasons. Several programs originally against the prospect of increasing schedules, but they are looking at 9 games for 2026, sources told CBS Sports. The motivation for adding a 9th SEC game comes as major college athletics is set to institute a new revenue-sharing program. Always comes down to money. Expenses are estimated to approach $30 million annually. That is the result of the court case between the NCAA and its opponents, and as such, programs are scrambling to find new pockets of revenue. Value could fluctuate as ESPN owns broadcast rights of all non-conference home games as well that might be canceled in favor of an expanded league schedule. Would Arkansas's home game against Notre Dame in 2025 be less valuable compared to a 9th SEC game? So let's think about this, folks. Most of us want a uniform schedule in college football, and that would include the SEC expanding to a 9-game schedule. Also, there are 2 more teams in the league. Therefore, for each team in the SEC, they've got 15 other opponents, possible opponents, and they only play 8 of the 15, so you play barely 53%. 53% of your opponents and competitors for a conference championship. That illegitimizes the conference championship to a large degree. So that would be a good thing, going to 9 games and being on par with the Big 12 and with the Big 10 and the former Pac-12. We would have to get the ACC in line as well. However, the point brought up there would be, for an entertainment standpoint, do we lose key and meaningful and interesting non-conference games? They cite Notre Dame, Arkansas right there. Would Arkansas just say, well, we got to play an extra game now. We got to play Tennessee this year. We're dropping Notre Dame. We can make our schedule only so tough. And for the revenue portion of this, which is driving it, of course, we're not talking about fairness or wanting to get with the other leagues or doing it because we want to legitimize the conference championship a little bit more by actually playing the teams in the league. No, the driving force is, of course, money. And now with the demand of the players and the pay for play that's going to kick in 2025 at approximately $22 million per team, per school. They say here up to $30 million, probably with all the expenses included. No, the motivation is, we got to make more money. We've got to have more attractive matchups and less Alabama, Middle Tennessee State, less Georgia and Chattanooga. Less of those games, more conference games. More money. Sankey said last year, I remember this, awfully close to making a decision. We need to land the plane is what he said. He doesn't want to keep circling around this topic, but he wants to make a decision. Among the factors the SEC is weighing is how the expanded college football playoff will treat leagues with 9 conference games, Big 10, Big 12, compared to those with 8, SEC, ACC. Several SEC programs have scheduled multiple non-conference games against Power 4 opponents to strengthen their playoff resumes. Among them, Alabama, which will play 2 Power Conference opponents each year for the next 10 seasons. You can look at that 2 ways. If you play in the SEC or the Big 10 and you go 10-2, you are going to be in the playoff. We've run the model not just through the playoff era, but before that, but certainly with the college football playoff rankings by the committee. They're more valid during the past 10 years. And if you go 10-2 in the SEC or the Big 10, you are going to be in, especially with the expanded leagues and with the tougher schedules, with the newbies coming in, Oklahoma, Texas, and the 4 from the Pac-12 into the Big 10. However, so you can look at it as we don't need to play anyone. If we go 6-2 in the conference and we sweep a bunch of cupcakes, our 8-game schedule is going to justify that we get in, whether it justifies it based on strength of schedule or reputation of the league. We'll get in because history tells us that, and history is going to be much stronger on the side of the SEC and the Big 10 going forward. Or Do you fear possibly going 9-3, or against a brutal schedule, going 8-4 and possibly getting the nod? So do you beef up the non-conference schedule? I would think not. I think the pros go toward the weakening of the schedule to impress the committee and have a strong enough schedule versus loading up your football team against difficult opponents, possibly losing those games, and maybe losing those games big. And the rest of the SEC article is background that we've covered many, many times here at the Voice of College Football.